Welcome back, Eugene. This is my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're following me and you're new to my channel, I'm Aspie. I'm all about creating mental health and awareness, sharing my life stories with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and the like, along with tips and advice along the way on how to manage and cope with your everyday personal struggles of your personal health or just mental health or whatever it may be along the way, with words of encouragement, so to speak, so that you guys can basically get on with your day regardless of it all, and hopefully that within that message of hope will bring out clarity, peace, and understanding to maybe why some of it is happening of your personal everyday struggles. So it has been brought to my attention while I've been away, obviously, even though I humbly apologise in advance for this, due to the reasoning of this is because of what's been happening in New Zealand. If for the ones that has been viewing my channel from overseas, because obviously we've been having nasty weather over here, and that I've been sitting down thinking about what a particular someone has shared with me to share my thoughts about a particular hot debated topic at the moment that is, being streamed in the spotlight a few times in the many years of this controversy about vaccines and autism, and also basically just my thoughts and uptake maybe on other bits and pieces and around that, which is, maybe something about the documentary that I watched briefly on a site at the moment called Vaxxed, of what they won't tell you of that from cover up, Vax from cover up to Catastrophe, so to speak, of that kind of documentary. So, and all for the do, guys, basically, I know this is going to be a bit of a debacle, but if you're following me along, this one's going to be called The 7 Things About Vaccines and Autism that the movie Vax hasn't actually clarified up or won't even tell you. And further along, breaking down to the autism's vaccines will be my viewpoint, as well as a brief background about what is vaccines, how it works, and everything else, before I bring out my, food for thought for that second part, because as I'm hoping, we only 3 parts to this kind of debacle, but it could be more, as we know, because obviously the way the world is at the moment with science and technology versus health and everything else is always changing, and always, there will always be some misleading information or misconceptions about certain things that we, watch or listen to, and sometimes we need to be aware of what we listen to and maybe do our research, so to speak, or just maybe learn from our experiences of whatever has happened to us based on our everyday, struggles. So as we know, basically, as I begin this right now, with this Vaxxed, of what they tell you, obviously on its surface for this documentary, it does appear to be kind of a sickly kind of produced scientific documentary with lots of charts documented as well as data, sort of thing. Obviously, they're about one of the most important issues of our time, he say, about vaccines and autism, or just vaccines in general. But then again, you got to remember that, in all fairness though, with all that data, that they think they had it all right. We know for a fact that there was a cover-up somewhere along the way with those big pharmaceutical companies that was involved, as well as everything else that was involved, as well as the main person, this guy of David, I think, I can't remember. He's a gastro. His role was a gastro doctor, or whatever he was, from what I can recall. Oh, Andrew Wakefield, sorry. He's a gastroenterologist, obviously. Got it right here, trying to recall everything from my brief notes. Apologise at this point of time. But as we know, basically, the central premise of the film is that the country's mandatory measles, mumps, and rubella, or the MMR vaccine for short, when it was given to children that was under the age 2, basically there was controversy that may have led to an epidemic of autism diagnosis. Obviously, however, from what I can see, basically it contains heartbreaking footage of happy, laughing toddlers who the parents say became profoundly disabled almost overnight after receiving these shots. It explains the findings of a study that confirms the link and unearths recordings from a former Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Scientists who purportedly claim that the government quashed clashed out the findings to this connection. But what the movie doesn't even, tell you into this compelling storyline here is what it does present. There are numerous facts, backstories, and events that the filmmakers pretend didn't happen that challenge many of the main points of the film, which therefore, as we know with many films, that they tend to dramatize of what really happens or what really goes on in the present state or what may happen in the future. But I want to put your mind at ease and actually let you know about the 7 points of what you need to know about facts into those form of context, however, of what is being shared. Number 1, the most important thing to know is that the link between vaccines and autism has been debunked. Hence follow on to my one of autism and vaccines for more information. That has been widely and repeatedly has been debunked. This original study that raised the issue was published in 1998 in the Journal of the Lancet and involved 12 patients who, after receiving the MMR vaccine, suffered ill effects and appeared to be autism. So, then again, obviously, 12 patients, that's not enough. As we know, sometimes with science, we need to do more variables than that and do our findings. While many researchers were skeptical of this form of finding, this panicked the parents in both Great Britain and the United States, pushing vaccination rates down sharply. Outbreaks of measles, mumps, and rubella, both sources of the link did soon follow, however. In 2004, Sunday Times journalist Brian Deere reported serious ethical violations by the 1998 paper's lead author of this, Andrew Wakefield. Deere accused Wakefield of having been paid by a law firm that had been planning to sue vaccine manufacturers and of subjecting some of the children to unnecessary invasive procedures for the study. After the revelations, however, most of the researchers named as co-authors in the study disavowed the findings and withdrew their names from the paper. In 2010, the Lancet's editors retracted the paper 3 months later. Britain's General Medical Council revoked Wakefield's medical license. So therefore, basically, there was a huge debacle about Andrew Wakefield from what he said about. By some points, he did list, obviously. He wasn't, obviously, in his time, he didn't study autism when he was becoming a doctor, or in this case, in his field of a gastroenterologist. So he had a fair valid point about how the gastrointestinal system worked. However, in 2011, the British Medical Journal, the BMJ, we could call it for short, published a detailed investigation into the research, calling it an elaborate fraud by Wakefield and lamenting the harm it had caused and continued to cause to their public health. It's one thing to have a bad study, a study full of errors, and for the authors then to admit that they made the errors. BMJ editor-in-chief Fiona Godley told CNN at the time, but in this case we have a very different picture of what seems to be a deliberate attempt to create an impression that there was a link by falsifying the data. Number 2, the director of Vaxxed and the main expert who appears on camera is that same Andrew Wakefield. Number 3, actor Robert De Niro, who is an autistic son, originally lobbied to put the film on the schedule for the Tropical Film Festival in March, but several days later he said he had a change of heart into what was going to be said and done. My intent in screening this film was to provide an opportunity for conversation around an issue that is deeply personal to me and my family, he said in a statement. But after reviewing it over the past few days with the Tropical Film Festival team and the others from the scientific community, we do not believe it contributes to or furthers the discussion that he had hoped for. Robert De Niro accused of censorship after yanking anti-vaccine movie from the film festival. Number 4, one of the main figures in the film, CDC scientist William Thompson, is heard only in voice recordings. Those recordings, the movie discloses, were of phone conversations Thompson had with other researcher who secretly recorded the calls. Oh my god, I cannot believe we did what we did, but we did. Thompson says at one point purportedly about omitting findings confirming a link between the MMR vaccine and autism from the official report in 2014 that was disclosed. Thompson has remained silent on the matter, but the other researcher biologist, Brian Hooker, that was in that movie, or whoever it was, has released a statement saying that Thompson would be publishing a paper soon that shows no link between the MMR vaccine and autism in African American males at all. Hooker said he is suspect of any analysis coming from the CDC due to the historic nature of the agency's scientific misconduct and conflicts of interest specifically around any link between vaccines and autism. He also detailed his conversations with Thompson. Dr. William Thompson, senior scientist at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Center, or that CDC as I abbreviated down to, contacted me during 2013 and 14 and shared many issues regarding fraud and malfeasance in the CDC, specifically regarding the link between neurodevelopmental disorders and childhood vaccines. Dr. Thompson and I spoke on the phone more than 40 times over a 10-month period, and he shared thousands of pages of these documents with him. Eventually, Dr. Thompson turned this information to Congress via Rep. Bill Pussy of Florida. Number 5. While the issue of vaccines and autism still comes out regularly on a day-to-day basis, as it did when presidential candidate Donald Trump mentioned his belief in theory in a debate last year, most scientists consider the connection between vaccines and autism to be discredited. Dozens of top journals, including the New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of Pediatric Infectious Diseases, and the Journal of Autism and Developmental Disorders, have published papers that looked into a possible link and found none whatsoever. A study in JAMA in April 2015 was one of the largest involved analysis of 96,000 children. The authors wrote their findings indicated no harmful association between MMR vaccine receipt and autism spectrum disorder, even among children already at a high risk. The origins of Donald Trump's autism vaccine theory and how it was completely debunked ages ago. Number 6. While experts still don't know what causes autism, it is thought to be a combination of genetic and environmental factors such as infections or exposure to certain chemicals that may lead to differences in the shape and structure of a child's brain. But then again, still debatable, hence why I'm going to be talking about that sort of stuff later on in the piece. According to an estimate by the CDC published last year, 1 in 45 or 2.24% of children aged 3 to 17 may have autism, a steep rise over the past few decades. Researchers have theorized this part of the rise could be attributable to a greater awareness of the condition. The CDC said the most recent jump from 211 to 214 may have a very mundane reason behind it, a change in the questionnaire of this agency used to track these cases. Number 7. Movie critics have come out with very different takes on this film, however. The San Francisco Chronicle's Mix Salel appeared to be moved by the footage and personal stories of the children and their parents. Of course, it's possible that the children would have developed autism anyway. No one event didn't cause the other, but the parents presented here are convinced otherwise, he wrote. While acknowledging that the film doesn't contain the whole story, LaSalle called it a passionate advocate for its viewpoint that makes for compelling viewing. Other reviewers weren't so generous, however, such as the Washington Post Michael O'Sullivan called it closer to a horror film than documentary. Stats Rebecca Robbins commented on the film's paranoid tone. The Ages Sarah Gill warned, "Don't be fooled. Wakefield story is not the tale of a man wronged by powerful corporations or the medical establishment, which in fact closed ranks to protect them. It's the story of a physician who set out the cause, dealt on vaccine safety before he'd even given the evidence, and he did so not for the public good, but for his private gain." Well, that basically ends the one about the 7 truth, what you need to know about basically the movie Vaxxed. Giving a like for thumbs up for support, comment below for this or more. Feel free to share these videos around to family and friends. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. Feel free to follow me on my social media sites. Feel free to also private message me if need be. So enough for the do, guys. Thanks for support, thanks for watching. Do what you love, what you do. Until next time, Aspie signing out. Don't be